join me as I tell you the story of Sir Elijah and Turpiculi. I don't know how to say this guy's name. This is a dark boy with bone thing, so I am sold. Thank you to the Four Horsemen and the Mythic Legions team for sending these things over to me so that we can all look at these things together and find out that, yeah, they actually are really, really good. I don't even need to open them to tell you that because I had recently reviewed these gorgeous figures that are remakes of their old things. This is the legacy of Mythos. Anyway, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy these guys are here. Who doesn't need a good villain, especially with like animal bone face? And then who doesn't need just an awesome knight to fulfill the prophecies of your kingdom? I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Prophecies of your kingdom? Let's open these things and find out just how good they are. Now, I will actually review these things and be honest. I know I'm saying I already love them. That's just like most likely. On the packaging, you do get everybody involved in the team, so I do really appreciate that they're doing that. And just in case Turpiculi is any different, here are the names there. Now, if for some reason you're watching this and you don't know who Mythic Legions and the Four Horsemen are, that's okay. It's just a smaller company that used to do sculpt work for larger companies like Mattel and a bunch of other stuff. And then one day they decided that they wanted to do it all for themselves, and that is where Mythic Legions came. And they have three lines. They have a space line called Cosmic Legions, and then they have the Figura Obscura line, which does stuff like from lore, real lore. Heat up your stuff because things might be a problem. And I will probably forever be on record saying that there should be some kind of note within there, like just print it on the back of this piece of paper. It says, yes, these are meant to be modular, so feel free to kit bash to your heart's content. Take these things apart, mix and match, and enjoy the playability and the customization that has created its own marketplace. And by that I mean there are people that have taken these things, kit bash, repainted, and made incredible pieces of art. All right, we've got Sir Elijah out and ready to show off all of his goods. And what do I mean by that? I mean this. Look at it. It's a lot of really nice stuff. Ultimate pack-in with accessories and customization just within this one dude. Now there is a small flaw in the like paint print thing here that has like this line. It's only visible in certain lighting, so like I can't see it down here, but when I shift it and the light hits and reflects, but that's a very, very minor issue. Anyway, let's look at these accessories because man, they really know how to pack it in and make these incredibly valuable, really worth their... They really know how to give you the most for your money. That's what I mean to say. Up first, we've got a beautiful hammer. Goodness sakes. It's like, sometimes I just totally get lost in the paint and the sculpt work from some of these items. Now, this thing is super cool. I don't know if it has like a real life counterpart. I know that I've seen this type of thing with like the blades on the handle, but I'm such a fan. Then you get this dagger, which I'm sure can attach to him somewhere with some kind of strap maybe. And then the blade. So basic paint on the blades, fine. And then all of the details here. I love that everything gets like a wash of some sort. So you get really excellent details across these things. Of course, you get a sword. What knight could exist without a beautiful sword to go along with him? Now, it seems like there's some kind of glue that maybe got squished out of the edges there or something. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know that I'll really see it. Well, I mean, you tell me if you notice it in the B-roll with this guy. But here we have a handle to match his little knife. Same paintwork on the blade, looks great. And then, of course, this little hook piece to hang off of his body somewhere in some way. You get alternate gripping hands, which is, of course, nice to have. He does have some gripping hands on by default, depending on the weapon and things that we need to hold. This is something that I think I mentioned in the previous reviews, is that we don't really get a lot of hand options with these guys historically. I know they sell weapons and hand packs, but that makes it tough when you have specific characters with specific designs and you gotta find those hands, but that's a small complaint. Then you get these pauldrons, I don't know. Ask Mad Hatter, he always knows what these things are called and says it in his videos, and that's where I learned it and then totally forgot. But these are shoulder guards. Okay, he's a guard. No, he's a knight. but he's got shoulder guards. And those would just plug into his back holes, which are right here. And that's why the cloth has the holes in there too. So you can either take something like this, or maybe you have another figure with other things that plug into their backs, and you can kit bash to your heart's content. Then you get this helmet, which, oh my god, this is gorgeous. I mean, look at the sculpt work in the ornate parts. I'm not really sure how they're able to do that at that scale. And I don't think they're using that. There's a newer technology that some companies are using that has, it's like a 5-axis machine, which traditionally you just have like an XYZ, like different depths and angles to cut stuff. And now there's a 5, so there's 2 more, and you can get even more intricate with 1/12 scale. I don't think they're using that yet. So this is very impressive to be this small and look that good, especially when we push it to its limits by shoving it into the camera hole. You get a swappable faceplate, which does look really nice. So if Sir Elijah has been taken out and converted to death, you can do that just by simply swapping that plate, which is such a great detail. There are a few figures that I've seen. I mean, I'm still very new to this brand, but he also has a swappable faceplate for his helmets. So if you want to make him this and this him, I imagine we can do that. We have an alternate neck piece, so if you don't want his like skin part, no, what is this? Why do we have this? I don't know why we have this. Maybe it's a different size ball peg to fit different heads. I think they're pretty consistent on that, but we will find out, or we won't. Then we have this gorgeous shield. Like, just looking at this from a design perspective, this is beautiful. Whoever they hired in this land of mythos, in this kingdom, to build these shields to represent their kingdom, wow, good on them. And this has your standard shield handle, which is like this. But I think, if I understand what this is in the box, something that I've been wanting for a few iterations of these guys, like with the last one, where you can plug this on and then have it on his wrist, which kind of changes the way that they're going to hold their stuff. I would love to get something that plugs into the back, though. Really need that. I know that people in the comments of the last video said that exists somewhere, but I really want that option for some of these guys, because then it just looks awesome. You get an optional belt piece, which, goodness sakes, look at how tiny that is, and then how much detail in the sculpt. Like, you even have like the belt that comes over, and then you have the paint. Look at the scale of this thing. That's crazy. That's all of the accessories. That's all of his stuff. So let's look at him and his faceplate and everything. So again, great sculpt work here, good paint work. There's a lot of depth going on. It's not just like a flat, solid color, which I appreciate. And then if we can get this faceplate out, so you remove that faceplate, and then you can make him the skeleton version, which, you know, just looks cool and reminds you of stuff from movies. So this is the neck peg that's on him by default, and then this is the one that's in the box, and I still don't know what the heck's the difference. A 1 on the bottom of it? Is that a 2? Yeah, a 2 and a 1. The one that's on him by default is sits a little higher than the other. So if that's to put other character heads on, or maybe because this thing would definitely need a higher height. Somebody tell me. Also, if you want to take off this piece, it locks in behind the neck piece. So there you go. You can slowly disassemble these guys and kind of build out what you want. Swapping that other helmet. Good God, that's awesome. That's pretty intimidating. You see this guy, he's carrying this axe. I mean, I would probably, with that helmet, give this dude an axe that's like, or a hammer that's like twice the size of that. What a beautiful design, man. These silver and gold pieces are really captivating visually. Now, I always love the mixed media of soft goods and the plastics. So like all the leather work is perfect because it's such a compliment to the soft goods that they do. All the details back here, you can put his sword or hammer or something through these loops. You can also hook this piece onto any part of his belt, wherever you can find the slot, maybe even these little loops. Plus you got this extra leather piece to put on him and have something else hanging off of him. I don't know exactly where we would put this knife. I mean, I guess ultimately you could just do that and then hook the sword in somewhere else, but that's what B-roll's for. We'll figure it out later. But even underneath all the soft goods, you have loads of details. I'm curious on what's underneath here. He also has like a full body armor, I think. Just look at how detailed it is all the way through the arms. So yes, a very, very gorgeous figure. Let's talk about the articulation. These guys, I've seen comments, I think on other posts, not Mythic Legions posts, but saying that these don't have much articulation, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Even with all the soft goods and things, you get tons of stuff. So depending on the head you get, look at how much range goes in that neck piece. So you just really got to work it, and then since it is on a ball joint, you're still going to get a lot of range by itself. I mean, look at that, it's crazy. And then, of course, if you adjust it, now he's looking straight up, which, I mean, not many characters can do, and not many can look straight down at the people that they just pummeled into the ground. And of course, that all depends on how much you build them out. So if you put these shoulder pieces on, it's potentially going to limit stuff, but since it connects only on the back, it doesn't really get in the way, and you can still articulate the piece. So yes, if you put these pieces on, you can definitely cause some limitations with the articulation, but, you know, end of the day, it just depends on what you need. So arms go up, they're just on like a standard joint, and you have pretty decent on the elbow. Again, it just depends on the figure. And then you have rotation here at the gauntlet, I guess you would call it, and then standard wrist peg. So the wrists are also dependent too on which ones you use, because you can have vertical or horizontal hinge points. He does lean forward, actually, perfectly. I thought I had reached the limit, and then it just kept going. That is the ball joint in that portion. There's actually, oh, so this is interesting. It's actually a two-parter thing, so you can kind of get an idea of how this all looks. Straight up got armor pieces on underneath that. Dang. And of course, that means you can remove these pieces and swap things around, have different characters built in different ways. Leans back really well, and of course, because that huge ball joint's got some great side-to-side and just all-around great rotation. Perfect splits. Nice rotation there at that hinge point on the hips. You got a thigh swivel, which is hidden really well because of the layers. And then you have a single jointed knee, but, you know, a dude in armor, real life, wouldn't be able to do much more than that. So that doesn't bother me at all. It's on a swivel part as well. And then you have a pretty standard ankle. So if you don't think that these guys have good articulation range, well, come on, look at the B-roll I've been using in this video, and then let's just look at this pose right here. And with the soft goods, now the wind's blowing and he just looks awesome. Look at that. He's like a superhero. You can't tell me these guys don't have articulation. And I would say bonus because you have wires in all of the soft goods, so now it's like it's even more intense. Maybe he got punched by a giant ogre. Look at that, he's flying through the air. All right, well, let's move on to the weird bone guy that I'm really excited to look at. This is the Turpiculi, or however you say his name. Doesn't matter because he just is awesome. This is the kind of guy that if you saw in real life, you'd be like, I don't even remember how words work, because you're so terrified. So who cares what his name is, except for the people that came up with the story and are creative and they care about him. Obviously, I just am sorry. I'm making excuses for being an idiot. Let's look at all these accessories because these bony boys are pretty intense. And we've had a bony boy before. This is Maxilius, I think was his name. Comes with a cloak and all that stuff, look like death. This is his default bone form, and this is a great example of like how to reuse parts to make somebody you've never seen before. My god. And if he's anything like that bony boy, he's gonna be super tough as far as joints and things go, like in a good way, and sturdy and highly articulated. He's got this bone axe thing, which does look fantastic. Look at how dirtied up this is. Really nice, really lived in, great detail work, of course. I mean, look at this. This looks like real bone. Like whatever this kind of semi-gloss finish that's on here, it's crazy. Great dirtied up swords, love it. You get two of those. You get two of these little scratchy hands that I guess attach to his normal hands, because you also get these big bad boy hands which attach to his extra back arms. Yes, he has 4 arms. Not forearms. Well, he does. He has 8 arms, but 4 arms. Then you get these, which are like wing type things, but his wings have been shed because he's just a bone guy now. Now, the only thing here is there's no joint in this, like what would be, I guess, the equivalent of a wing's elbow. There's nothing up here to articulate either. It's just these spine pieces, like the shoulder connections that have that. And then speaking of spine pieces, check this out. I really like the leather work here that helps cover up the joint. Really nice work here, and it's all soft, and I'm gonna assume Yes, you can see all the holes. That tells you it's a bendy wire. So you could just have this thing all on its own, and it would be really fun as if you could find an adapter to put this on. That's the only accessory we're missing in this box right now, is a way maybe we can force it. There we go. Oh my god. Terrifying, weird snake creature with animal, like deer head or whatever this would be. I don't know, a bobcat? What is this? Oh my god, it articulates. So let's just look at this. Disgusting skull, which obviously can work all by itself as a prop, you know, in a wasteland or something. But because these things are modular and meant to work this way, you can easily do that. And maybe we would swap around that other neck piece to lower it to kind of hide the neck color a little bit more, but that's awesome. That's awesome. Which also means, yeah, obviously you could do this. Now, on to the main event. This beautiful thing with okay, so he's got horns, which clearly means he's not some kind of bobcat or whatever. Although it could just be something I don't understand, because what really has horns that look like this? They're kind of devil-like. Oh, so cool though. The horns don't come out. The mouth does still articulate, so depending on the design you want, if you wanted this guy to be like an army build situation, obviously you can like choose to add the wings and the tail. You could remove these extra arms, change the head type. But yes, details, paintwork, stunning as expected. The bones and all that stuff is really gross. All the things that are inside of his chest area to kind of like help cover things up just makes him even grosser looking. We have the belt piece, which his little crotch section does obviously come apart. He's got all these belts and the tattered things, but this like half shield piece, which I think is really just there to like kind of help cover up some things, but yeah, I'm curious why it's only a half sculpt. But as long as it's covered up, it looks awesome. And then, of course, he's got his little straps, too, to hold his weapons. The little bracers, is that what they're called? When it's on a man? Not a bracelet. Men don't wear bracelets. So he does have a lot of articulation. Let's look at articulation, and we'll add these other parts to him, because obviously if we put them on now, it's going to limit some things. But he looks down really well. Looks up pretty good. It does want to push his head off when you do that, because you're getting leverage against his spine there. But he does look up, honestly, really well. And since it is a ball joint, he just doesn't have that neck movement like the other guys, but it does swivel at the neck. Arms go up fantastic, just like the other skeleton dude, so I'm not surprised at all. You have a 90-degree there, and then standard hinge points on the wrists, which I think these are all the same type of wrist joint. I guess we would call these horizontal wrists. And of course, there is some body articulation since it's all like cut up, and you know, there's different joints underneath all of these parts. So you can definitely get some range out of this dude. You just gotta obviously move it around and line up your little leather pieces there at that shield part if you don't want it to be exposed. Legs go out, swivels, of course, more than 90 degrees on the knee. It does swivel at the knee, and then standard ball joints for the ankles. And he's got these arms on his back, which are pretty tight joints, so you just, I mean, the shoulders are like that too. You just want to be careful with them. This is one of the things where they say about heating them up. But you got that, you got an elbow joint, and then you got this standard wrist joint. This is awesome. I mean, this is such a cool dude. He's so terrifying. And since they all have these holes in their backs, obviously you could swap things around. You could put these on the other guys if you wanted to. So a bit limited on the articulation up there, of course, but you know, with the swivel and the hinge, you can definitely get some nice range out of these parts even still. Of course, depending on what you want him doing, he's got these slashing hands, so they can't really hold his weapons, but he did have these on by default, so I'm sure you can find something to slide in there. I don't know if we can get around these bone parts or not. This is one of those things where like a closed off gripping hand is good because they don't stretch out, but then, you know, you have to really try to work these bone pieces in, or finding another weapon that you can really force into these hands. And that's where I wish that they would make it so that the handles would pop apart. Because I want that in there, but I'm also afraid of breaking this bone piece off. I mean, obviously we could do this one, but then it's just like kind of sloppy. This dude rocks. He's got those gripping hands on by default, which these are standard gripping hands, so you can work around those thumbs and get the pieces in there no problem. And then of course we talked about those. So yes, if you want him to hold his weird sword things, it's not going to be a problem. Look, he's still got a little butthole, even though he's a bone boy. think you'll have a butthole when you're just a bone boy? My God. He's just got everything coming at you. Just watch out, because you're definitely a goner if this guy steps in the room. But he's probably just actually a really nice dude. He's just like, well, I was cursed by a witch many, many millennia ago, and here I am stuck as this hideous beast. Anyway, look, Mythic Legions, if you don't know, now you do. Okay, they have tons of stuff. Check it out. You can go straight to them to buy a lot of stuff, especially during the pre-order phase. And then there's a lot of places like Nerdzoic that offer these items. So be sure to follow the links down in the description to get these guys. And if you don't like these guys, but you like what they're doing, then just search around on that site and see what you do like. If you enjoyed this and you want to see some more Mythic Legions get reviewed, then be sure to click that link right there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.